I have this cough with Pat also. I cough, it's not a cold.
Yeah.
I went to my physical, one for my physical. He said the Lisapril, the blood pressure medication one, can make you cough.
Yeah.
So he took me off and he says, but it might take 3 weeks for it to. Just call me in 3 weeks and tell me if your cough's better. So I had this awful, you know, so.
I have
I don't
allergies.
know, just so you know.
I have allergies, so I may sneeze.
You might. You sneeze on me and I'll cough on you.
Yep, no worries.
Okay. Tell me when we're ready. We're live. Okay. I call this meeting to order. First order of business would be to appoint Jim Maderas as alternate.
Appoint him as a full member.
Full member, yes.
He's already an alternate.
Appoint our alternate as a full member. The next order of business would be the draft minutes from September 3rd. Does anybody have any revisions or comments?
I had just a clarification on the new business, the postage rate, just to specify that it was on the subdivision and site plan applications. And then you have, and then under all-purpose storage, the hearing notice is, the I is bold for some reason. Just a minor thing. Yeah, no. And then on page 3, this is more of a question under letter E. This is under the work session. You have ME. Should we specify that that's Moosewood Ecological? Just,
It is above.
oh, it
I
is
did the
above.
same thing,
Okay.
Christina.
All right.
Who's me?
Yep. No, that's fine. That's all I had.
George, did you have something?
I have none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So move.
Second,
Okay, Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't here.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, invitation for public comment. Non-hearing related. Okay, next order of business would be for us to continue with we just did our walkthrough, our site visit of the all-purpose storage. And now I'm opening up the public hearing for all-purpose storage expansion on Route 101. So we're here to, we're holding this hearing so that we can better understand from Chuck from Fieldstone is going to be presenting the plan. And this is the opportunity for the abutters to, or any other citizens to ask questions or speak to the project. And so I guess hearing none, I would turn the floor over to you, Chuck.
Thank you.
We have a microphone there for you too. It's for the recording, so.
Is there a green light on?
We'll switch sideways.
Can you hear me? My name is Chuck Ritchie with Fieldstone Land Consultants. I'm here representing All-Purpose Storage Temple. Yeah, I'm here tonight to discuss the proposed storage building over on 103 Route 101 here in town. It's an existing self-storage facility with 3 existing self-storage buildings. Each of them is 2,000 square feet for a total of 6,000 existing square feet of building. The site is tax map 8A, lot 7-3. It's 5.05 acres with roughly 300 feet of frontage on Route 101. We're proposing to construct a 21,250 square foot building for self-storage, which will be accessible from the exterior as well as some interior storage units. along with other drainage, pavement, and associated site improvements. Michael Plouffe from our office of Fieldstone was here last month to discuss it. I don't know if conceptually or preliminarily. And I'd like to take a minute to address the two items that were brought to our attention at that meeting that the board would like to hear, that requested additional information on. The first is the total area of disturbance, which is 96,950 square feet, which has been designed to stay under alteration of terrain threshold. And the other one was the fire suppression on site. Our client met with, let me get this right, Wilds on June 6th. He's the town building inspector. And at that meeting or phone call, it was said that as long as the building had egresses at least every 75 feet, it would not need to be sprinklered. So our client has prepared a little essentially a floor plan for the building, and they provided 6 egress points throughout the building, so that when it comes time for a building permit, they do not need sprinklers, so we don't need a well or water on site. This application was also before the Temple Zoning Board, and on May 21st, 2024, we were granted a special exception for an expansion of a commercial use in the rural residential zone with a number of conditions. I included the notice of decision for that zoning board meeting in my packet, but I'd like to take a minute and just run through the 5 conditions that were required at the zoning board. The first being no further expansion of the site will be allowed. No issues there. We're pretty much maximizing the site right now. Maximum square footage of all buildings shall be 27,250 square feet as presented to the zoning board of adjustment, which is the same layout that we currently have. All buildings shall be single-story buildings, and they are. Standard hours of operation will be limited to 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with a keypad access at the gate, and shall restrict access to hours of operation. We added that note to the plan, as well as an improved gate, which I don't think right now is electronic at all. So we're going to meet that criteria, and no outdoor storage of any type will be allowed. Again, added as a note, and that is also in there. The all-purpose storage's contract when you sign up to use their storage facility. This project will require 1 state permit for state DOT coming off the highway, because we're expanding the use on site. So we'll typically apply for state permits, following typically we ask for it as a conditional of approval from the local, once conditional approvals granted from local boards. Some of the design features, we're proposing to repave some of the entranceway and expand that pavement just so that it's minimum 24 feet, so they can get two-way traffic in and out of the site without any issues. We're proposing to extend the fence further along the property, to extend beyond around the new building, excuse me, and encompass all the proposed improvements. This site also does require a 100-foot building setback, which we are observing. And so we've got large areas of remain vegetation along the peripheral of the site, except for some areas of grading that are going to require some clearing. And then this is the northeast corner. So we've got a little line of shrubbery, arborvitae and pine trees at the top of the site. To try to, minimize the buffer in conjunction with the existing foliage. Lighting is going to be pretty standard. It's going to be similar to the lights they've got there now. They're downcast, they're shielded, they're just for security purposes. 9 o'clock at night gets dark out in the winter time, so you want to feel safe using the site. And grading, as as part of the discussion at the site walk, but I'd like to touch on that now. The site was cleared, I believe, in the 80s or 90s at that time, it was I think a zoning board had approved an expansion of the site. So the site had been cleared and there were ditches dug in along the western property line. So we're going to utilize a lot of that drainage, you know, capturing our site as well as coming off the western property into a detention basin at the the north side of the site, which will capture the entire site. And on the south, we've got curbing and catch basins, closed drainage, outletting into this detention basin. We're meeting the 25-year storm for the site plan regulations. You know, there's some erosion on site just because it's, you know, it has a history of disturbance. So we're looking to improve that with this design. And it's you know, I'm happy to answer any questions at this time. I'll give it back to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chuck.
Is there any disturbance of the stone walls existing on the property?
Do you want to just, sorry.
Yeah,
We do just a question and answer, or does the board want to? How do you want to proceed with this?
Yeah, I think we'll just, we'll need members that have a question right now.
Just-
Yeah,
Talk about, okay.
I just.
yeah, Sean might want to say something.
That's very hard.
The question was, are stone walls being disturbed? No. The property line is basically stone wall along the northern side, and we're not disturbing the stone walls. Give you a minute to kind of digest a little bit.
Will you be grading the property in the back? Up to the stone wall?
Can you say
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we're pretty close to the stone wall.
Is the blood go through the property wall? Because it's very close to the stone wall, but I don't think it does.
Maybe, can you use the microphone, Sean?
Do you want to?
We might have.
Yeah, I can. Yes. So I don't think Bloodbrook goes through the property, is that correct?
Correct. I believe it does not go through the site.
I'd like to talk to the board specifically about this project. Unless other people have questions.
I have a few questions.
Okay, yeah,
if you
go
wanna-
ahead.
So I'll start with the minor stuff. There's reference to some fertilizations that's gonna be on site, some fertilizers, just wondering what that might look like, because I know there's a farm next door. I think it's just, it is referenced on another page. Or Phil, maybe, is that? Trying to remember what it said in the note 15. Yeah.
Chip soil. Oh, and fertilizer. Fertilizer. So it looks like they're fertilizing,
So that's,
when they seed it there.
okay, so it's not anything we need to.
I don't think so. I think it's probably just gonna help the grass take hold. So
Okay.
that there's less erosion.
I noticed that it doesn't mention the square footage for the alteration of terrain in any of the notes. I wonder if that could be added. And then this could be, just my miss on the plans, but I didn't see, are the utilities are gonna be underground for the lighting? Is that correct?
That is correct. I forgot to go over utilities, but yeah, we're tying in from the existing electric on the front three buildings. And we have a proposed underground propane tank. Just here next to the parking area
Right,
for climate controlled buildings. And there's going to be no sewer, water, no office or bathrooms in the buildings.
right. And are the lines on your plans where the utilities are gonna be,
Yeah, we're currently proposing to put them right under where we're going to
okay.
improve it.
Just for us to, on our checklist.
Oh.
They're labeled on the plans, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we already covered the sprinkler system and I think we heard at the last meeting that fire trucks will be able to get around. if emergency vehicles, if necessary, fire trucks, there's
That's-
enough width.
That's correct. We typically supply, provide, 24 to 25-foot aisles with similar radiuses, which is what fire trucks would require.
Okay. And then I didn't see copies of the easements. There's, I think, 3 easements referenced in the plans. That's on section 4A, item number 6. It's probably on one or the other.
Yeah, the existing.
We,
I didn't see it. But maybe I missed something. It's not in the packet that I printed. It's, yeah, it's just something that is part of the application. Yeah. I just went through our checklist.
Yeah.
Essentially,
we did, we have a noted, I think, but we don't have those, we have that.
the copies of them.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Yep. And then the height of the new building, is that on the plans? I know the elevation was on there, but I didn't.
We did not specify the height, but it's a single story. We call it that it will be a single story.
Okay.
I don't know, are you looking for a specific
Just
numerical
to
value?
Go over our regulations.
Okay.
I think you already talked about the outdoor lighting. I don't know if we need to be more specific.
With our dark sky
Yeah.
ordinance. So Russ, did you get a chance to review that as far as the lumens? No. So Chuck, you're, the Fieldstone, is it anywhere on the plan? Just, are you were aware we have a dark sky ordinance or zoning? Just want to make sure if you're compliant with the lumens,
Yeah, so we use a certain lighting company and they always have shielded, downcast and the dark sky compliant units. So we've specified that one there.
And then the only other concern I had, which ties into a few different things, was, well, I guess 2 questions. One was the timeline. I noticed there was a date referenced on October 15th. For starting, I didn't know if there was a timeline that was on an erosion control note number 1. It's there, it looks like, trying to get things done before everything freezes. So that's more what I was just asking about.
Which year?
I think it's on this page. It's, I can't,
There'll be a note in there that for winter construction,
yes.
like everything's got to be stabilized by October or November 15th or something. But that is not the intended
Not-
start.
Okay.
No, it's.
Yep.
No, that's just winter standard note.
Okay. And then, like I said, the other question I had is, I know you have soils data on there, but it doesn't look like any soils testing was done. It was just taken from Hillsborough County. I don't know. I guess I have some questions about that, which I would defer to Russ because he's more the wetland scientist, but.
I did feel that maybe you might want to take a second look at like that. When we first went down the hill, I would say that was jurisdictional as opposed to being a ditch. And it seemed to be a bigger area than a ditch. And I didn't know if you had a wetland scientist who like stamped a plan somewhere or made a certification that said there's no wetlands. It seems to be not really mentioned.
Oh, Chris Gaida from our office, he was out there. He hadn't stamped it.
Mhm.
Because he didn't classify it as no wet. But, I can't speak, I'm not qualified to speak on that, but, Chris, Mr. Gaida from our office has looked at it.
I think we need to take a look at that.
I agree. I mean, this is some of the driest weather we've had and it was noticeably wet. And I'm not a wetland scientist, but just walking around, it appeared to be wet and we weren't in the drainage ditch. So I would like to hear from them, from your wetland scientist.
I guess my question would be, how would, what exactly would you be looking for?
Looking for maybe Chris to take a second look at some of these areas of concern that we had and maybe just a letter, a certification
Okay.
that I did some soil testing because the hydrophytic plants were there and there was hydrology, there was water at the surface, but we obviously aren't doing any soil testing, so maybe there's not hydric soils. And that if Chris could go out there and just verify that in those areas that we were concerned about, he did look at them and give us a letter saying, yeah, I checked and they're not jurisdictional. I'd feel more comfortable if somebody stamped it, because right now there's no mention of wetlands or that anyone looked at them.
And then I had a general question, which maybe others have too, and maybe I know we put a lot on you, Russ, but I'm not qualified to say that that stormwater plan is sufficient, so I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not,
outside of my
okay,
professional.
well, I was hoping you'd be able to say.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying it meets the 25-year storm.
Mhm.
And I would guess if there's an engineer's stamp on it, the guy is putting his certification forward saying, I did do the work. And
Yeah, it certainly looked very thorough,
Yeah,
but
I
again,
think at that
can't.
point, we'd have to trust that, like, the difference being is like with the wetlands, what we're saying now. I'm
Right.
also a wetland scientist, and I was just out there.
Right,
So I have some questions, but I couldn't really comment on the drainage plan because I don't know enough about
okay,
that to make an intelligent comment.
those were my questions. I don't know if others had.
Anybody else have a question for Chuck? Go ahead.
I have a general question. I'm not sure if it's for Chuck or maybe Russ or anybody, is when we were doing the on-site and we were at the back, we saw the rock wall, that general area. We could see, and it's on the maps, how it grades, it drops down rather rapidly. I think it's in that back corner, northernmost corner, I guess it would be, where the drainage basin will be. And that's going to be obviously graded such that it's a basin, right? And it's not there now. I guess my question is will fill be needed for there, or will it be sufficient by the grading of the normal ground? If fill is going to be brought in, what is it going to be? Is it going to be topsoil, or is it going to be, because I'm concerned about invasives. I'm also concerned about what's going to happen on the surface. Is that going to be like grass and it's just going to be mowed, or what, or are we going to grow, some sort of wetland? What's the plan for that particular area? Like, what's the soil? Is it going to be the existing soil that's just moved about, or is it going to be additional? And what's going to be going on the surface? Because I think all that will affect how water is handled in that area.
I'd like to try to address some of that.
Sure.
So we're doing a detention basin. Soils on site, based on the web soil survey, aren't great. You could kind of see that with the ditches, kind of holding groundwater a little bit. So we're excavating into the ground where the basin will be, as to not create a berm, build up rather than building up a berm. We're digging into the ground, and we're not infiltrating the water. We're just metering the flow essentially on the outlet. And these are typically either grass, or there is certain seed mixtures for detention basins that will be, underwater for, following rainfalls.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
If
have
I
a
didn't answer
question.
anything correctly, let me, feel free to ask.
I have a question. So you say you're not infiltrating the water table in that detention basin. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So at least 8 to 10 feet deep. That basin's gonna be below the existing surface. And I'm wondering what the water, if you did any test pits or anything back there to determine the water table, so that in fact, you're not just making a standing pond and it's not gonna store any extra water because there's already water there.
We haven't done any test pits in that location yet. You know, if it is, you know, low groundwater, we would typically line the basin. So that we're not having water coming in from the bottom and it's just collecting the water from the site.
Right.
But if it's collecting water from the site, I mean, then that's just gonna be standing water frequently because it's the lowest spot. I mean, when you say you're gonna line the basin, what does that, line it with what?
So basically, so a detention basin is basically designed where the bottom of your basin has an outlet so that there's no permanent standing water in it. It's an, you know, a 12-inch pipe or something small to slowly let the water release rather than all at once. And it's lined with an impermeable layer so that water doesn't come up through the bottom or leave through the, you know, it's not infiltrating when you're if you were in the groundwater. It all leads through the outlet structure.
Where is it?
It will continue, you know, it goes where the water currently does off the site. We're just,
It's gonna go into blood for.
Right.
So, that's what's been running through my head the whole time here is that
Yeah.
everything clearly designed to take all this water and direct it towards that detention pond. And then that water's there somewhere. And I don't see where else it's gonna go, except for where that, well, we saw that opening and the erosion already down in Blood Brook. Like, is that?
Right at the drop wall.
Right. Right.
The drop wall is washing out, which John from Wilton, he kind of we walked, that's how we found the ditch by tracing that water that was going to the drop wall. And then take a turn, and like, oh, here's the ditch, you know, I mean, there will be significant amount of water. If the water going down the ditch, it's going to end up in the basement. That was a significant amount, so. And then you said like a small pipe was running it along. Now the right.
And isn't that,
I can't see how, but that's what's happening now.
right, that was gonna be my question, like, it should be mimicking what's happening now as much as
It's
possible.
going to be just engineered, it's going to be controlled rather than. Right now, it looks like there's significant washing, was undermining the rock wall itself. Like you're washing the rock wall, the rock wall collapsing.
Mhm.
But we're talking about a facility that's more than triple the size of what it currently is. That is then draining off into that.
But yeah, it's the same landmass, but it's gonna have more traffic.
More traffic.
More.
And an
more-
impervious
Impervious,
surface. It's
yeah.
the impervious surface that's,
Yeah.
So there won't be any infiltration up here.
but you do have some drains around, right? Didn't I see that in the plans?
Yeah, but they're all going to the
Yeah,
basement.
they're all going.
So it's just, yeah, so it's condensing them all to that spot.
Did you wanna?
I think you know, that's the gist of it is,
Yeah.
where it's not a great situation now from whatever you know, disturbance before, so we're containing it all and, you know, it's designed to improve the offsite flow.
So I'm wondering, you're going right up to almost to the stone wall, so it's gonna flow right out at the property line, kind of like where that erosion ditch is now. So the person on the other side stands a chance of having all kinds of erosion on their side of the property. Because you're focusing all the water off the property.
Yeah, I mean, we have a standard outlet pipe, I think it's 12 inches, but you know, with proper riprap on the apron so that it's not coming out too fast, but
Yeah.
it's you know, standard practice. Just try to, you know, we're minimizing it to the best we can.
So the improvement might be that right now, when we have a significant amount of rain, that water's going, probably not staying in the ditch and going all over the place.
Right.
This will improve that. So, anyway, but-
So I guess the question is, for the board is, I think we said, I don't know if we're in agreement, we probably need to vote on it, but that we do want to see some testing in a variety of locations in that back parcel. And do we want to do a third-party review of the system, or are we comfortable with?
I would like a third party review.
I can't say that I know enough about those reports to say what they mean. I would trust in the license. In the fact that I hope other planning boards trust when I stamp a plan.
Right,
So I don't want to say, oh no, it's stamped, but I don't believe it.
maybe we
But
should
I
have.
just don't know anything to comment on it.
Right. I don't know if we just want him to come, the person that designed that system, and present specifically on that before we make a decision on a third party, or I
Yeah,
don't know what the rest of you think. It's just, those are options.
That might be.
did you have an engineer? Who was the engineer that did the,
Chad Brennan, the principal for Fieldstone
Chad?
Land Consultants, stamped this and reviewed it.
he did the drainage?
Yeah, he and I worked on it together.
Work.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not licensed, but Chad and I worked together and he said it's, it meets the standards. I can't make the decision up for you, but if you need, we're willing to, more, if you need more than a licensed engineer stamp. I guess it's up to you guys.
I think it would be great for him to come and just explain it to us. That's my opinion, others can comment.
I would say if Chad came in and just kind of explained the drainage report a little bit. And because you're gonna have to come back anyways, or at least we want to see something about the wetlands and some soil testing, maybe at least a test pit where that basin's going. See if it's, impermeable surface right on below, if water's sitting 2 feet down, then a 10-foot basin isn't gonna do much of anything. So,
That's fine.
right.
I was just gonna say, in my opinion, I don't think this is a situation, in my opinion, that we're questioning the survey.
Mm,
I think it's more that the brook is right there. And that everything runs right down, there's no way from a gravity perspective for the water to go any other way. That it's just enough of a concern that it'd be nice to hear from the expert on how he feels about that drainage.
I agree.
I can speak from a construction viewpoint. I was in the construction business for 40 years. And I have to assume that when they put this structure up, they would want to build it in good soils that would seep the water out. The water is going to drain anyway because it's draining now. And I would think that they would build it so it would be good for at least 40 or 50 years. So I would think that they would put good material in there to hold that building. So I'm not sure that we need the third-party review, but I leave that up to the board.
I guess I have a question for the board. If there's any drainage questions that you specifically have, I'd like it to take, I can answer a large majority of them while I'm not licensed. But I guess what questions would you anticipate asking Chad, the engineer? I know he has a busy schedule. He's not always able to make it on Tuesday nights. I don't know if a separate letter, but that would provide different information than the drainage report would. I guess I'm just, I request that, giving me a little more direction on exactly what you're thinking, if you don't mind.
I guess I don't know what questions to ask personally.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Our primary concern is that water is going to be draining into Bloodbrook and potential contamination of that water.
And there's the aquifer back there too. It's not even just the
Right.
brook.
And the aquifer, so
Well, there are drains there.
yes, but this is a much smaller facility currently.
And it goes through the soil versus an impervious surface.
It's an interesting controversy, right? They're taking steps, you guys are taking strong steps to manage the flow of the water and direct it to a single point. For the new facility. And I think part of the concern is that, that management can actually cause a lot of water to go in one spot. That's right now dissipating everywhere. I trust him, I think there's trust in the guy that knows what he's doing. That's it's, right now it's going everywhere. Whether it's good or bad, who knows?
Right.
And, this plan kind of redirects everything to that one risky spot, I guess. But it's not intentional. And I have no idea what I'm talking about as far as, what retention pond and the water table. My personal experience is the water tables, at least where my property is only a few feet below the water line.
Right,
Before the ground, below the ground level, even no matter what train you're on, so if you dig an 8-foot hole right there, my expectation is gonna be wet. And the fact that the brook is right there, is an example of that. It's not too much more than 10 feet down to the brook. Is it? But I'm not an expert.
Maybe you could give us, so you said you worked on it, so give us like some idea when you're doing the drainage calculations, like how much, say in a 25-year storm, what kind of water levels are you expecting in that pond? Is it a foot deep? Is it the whole thing 10 feet deep and then it's just slowly draining out through that pipe, or what? That's the kind of maybe that you've kind of looked at this and it's not retention, right? So you don't have the pipe above the invert, above the floor of the pond. It's right at the floor.
Correct. So, yeah, if you guys have a copy of the plans, at least shared between you. So the basin we're looking at, sheet 4, grading and drainage plan.
Yeah.
I call it a constructed detention basin, with the berm of 874, which is the top, the berm, the top of your basin.
Yep.
And then you've got the bottom at 868. So from the bottom to the top is 6 feet. And then I have an outlet structure. Sorry, I'm not even. Is everyone following? Okay. So in that basin, I have an outlet structure with a rim of 873. The outlet structure is like a concrete square catch basin, basically. So 873 is the rim of that structure, which will, that in the larger storms, that's what meters the flow.
Yeah, okay, you said 868 is the bottom of the pond?
Correct.
So you do have some storage there.
Yeah. And the lowest, the rim is at 873, but then what do I have here? 8-inch pipe is at the very bottom at 868.
Yeah.
So we have a smaller pipe at the very bottom so that it's a detention basin. We're not anticipating infiltration. So in the small storms, it can all leave without, mosquitoes and standing water being there. And then in the larger storms, as that 8-inch pipe is insufficient to let it all go, it goes out through the rim at 873. And in even the most extreme cases, the 100-year storm, it may need an emergency spillway, which we always design for, but it's never, in the 25-year storm, it's not coming out through the spillway at 873 and a half. Try to get you some numbers.
It'd be correct to assume that this learning as we go here, that someone did a calculation on the 25-year storm, how much water that would put per square foot in a square. Whatever the entire facility size is going to be. And that volume of water is anticipated in the basin for the basic size, the detention pond size. So if that much water fell and it all drained, it would fill that detention pond or hopefully not fill it. But, and anything less than that, it's gonna get something less than raise up, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, so we take it, two analyses, existing conditions with those three buildings. It doesn't look like there's any basin there now. They just go down the ditch into the wetlands on the north side, and then we take all the proposed, all the building is impervious and pavement is impervious, lawn is lawn. And we come up with we're gonna have larger flow off the site in that scenario, but we have the basin which, captures and it lowers the rates. But to try to answer your question, in the 25-year storm, the peak elevation is 872.91, which is just below the rim of the outlet structure. So when anything more than the 25-year storm, you'd anticipate it coming out the rim. Everything else is going out through that 8-inch culvert.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a copy of my drainage report or
I
if
think
it's
we did, but I don't seem to have it. in there.
okay.
Was it part of the application?
It was.
Yeah, I give you that, right, Russ?
Yeah, I had it. I don't have it in my mess of stuff here right now. It wasn't in that, it was separate.
Yeah, I thought I put it all together though. Yeah.
So we're in pretty good shape for the 25-year storm as far as the basin's designed.
It's, I just want to make a comment and then just ask a question, but obviously the zoning board, our zoning board of adjustment, they approved this plan. What we're looking at here, they approved, granted the variance. That's just my comment, but the question is, and I already know the answer, but when you drew this, the scale, the size of this detention pond, you didn't just pick randomly pick a size. There's math involved, or else it could be smaller or it could be larger. It's not, that you have an engineer that is trained in this, and there's a lot of math that goes into this. So, we're trusting that pond is going to work and it's going to do what it's intended to do. And so I guess I'm questioning what we're gonna. I understand this testing the soils, Russ. But I'm questioning really, is it just because it's Blood Brook? Is there going to even be a good answer at all for this? Or we just really hung up on the Blood Brook and the amount of, what other way could you do this is my question. If we're not happy with this, what other way could it be even done?
And I don't know, I mean, that's
Yeah.
my,
So I'm
that's my challenge.
just trying to figure out where we're at as a board, because we're, like I said, I get the soil idea.
My thoughts on that, it's similar to where I think you're going, is that based on what we just discussed, I'm personally happy with what his answers and what we've got for information. It sounds like they've done the due diligence, and I feel satisfied with that.
Yeah, for me, explaining the elevations, the differences, this 8-inch pipe versus the 12-inch in this building, and the volumes. I feel good with that explanation for the drainage, the detention basin. I still would like to see the wetlands investigated and the soils.
Mhm. How about you, Carter?
What?
How about you?
I think yes, I still want to hear about the wetlands. I think it's okay on the drainage. I am not sure that I'm thrilled about a bigger facility with potential contaminants draining into a brook. But I think the plan is, I'm not sure, to Bruce's point, is it is not going to be different necessarily. I think that's just a decision that we have to make, if we're okay with that.
So, do we want to just review what we're looking for besides the soils testing? Or what do you, I'm sorry,
It's a team here.
I know.
Team effort.
I was the chair,
Yeah,
not
that's
anymore,
right.
I keep forgetting. Obviously the soils testing, and did you want to identify specific areas, Russ, or?
Yeah, whether. I mean, I guess the wetland, what I thought was a wetland area of concern is when we first went down that slope with the rocks. And that little oil patch at the top, that first area that we crossed was wet now. Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah. Yeah.
And I take a look everywhere, but.
Yeah, so let's look at, do the existing conditions. All right, so I'm thinking we crossed something like in there.
All the stone, right, there, leave the stone there.
Right, because that's what the little drive, that little area we walked down.
The ditch weed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this whole area seemed wet.
I agree, that's probably where the.
Yeah, there's a lot of rushes, a lot of, almost dominated entirely by hydrophytic plants, so I would like that investigated. There's an open area over here. It was really dry and the soils looked orange, so I doubt they're hydric soils, but it had all that weird moss and footprints. Like it had been ponded or something, and maybe it ponds because it's compacted. But that's where I'd say a soil test, just take a look at the soils there. And then maybe get us a water table or something down here by the, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, I guess that plan, detention plan works as long as the water table doesn't fill that out.
then I
Using a pool.
also asked for the alteration of terrain, total square footage to be on the plan, just a note. The height of the building. But we'll send you something in writing too, but copies of the easements. And then, do we want more detail on the lighting? I know, it's just a note maybe that you'll be dark skies compliant.
I specifically about the dark sky. I have notes, 12 on sheet 2 of 8, that, you know, the letters are down, that's the period, for the time on the way it is, you want dark sky fun. Or.
Well, we have a dark sky regulation, so maybe just specify dark sky regulation. I think that was it for my list, just from the checklist. Thank you.
Is there anything else for Chuck? That we. That sounds like that's the list.
Well, I guess the question is, our next meeting is what, October something? First? So is that enough time, or do you want to let us know when you're able to schedule the soils testing?
That'd be 2 weeks from
We can either be 2 weeks, or we can go, what is it, 4 weeks?
the 15th of October.
Yeah,
It'd be
or
4
two.
weeks.
So if I'm gonna make a motion to continue the hearing
Yeah.
to a date certain, I'm wondering when that works for you.
Do you need plans prior to the meeting to take a look at like, hey, we need these at least a week before the meeting? You know, to show the test bit, submit the test bit, any information? Like if you need it a week in advance, then it's gonna be tough to be here in 2 weeks is all some.
I don't know why we would need that. I think we just want to have our questions answered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think if you're providing some documentation, then provide it at least 3 business days.
yeah, like the Friday before would be good. Right, isn't that 3 days?
Yeah.
So next
3
Friday.
days?
Right after that.
So I don't know what the date is for that, but what's the Friday before September 27th?
7.
Oh, yeah.
Is that enough time for you, or should we push it out 2 more weeks? beyond that.
Yeah, test pit and some notes. I think we should be able to, if 3 days in advance, get you a copy of a letter and stuff you're looking for.
Okay,
We'll go with the,
Just like test pit logs and maybe
Exactly.
some kind of a data sheet or something in that wetland area so that we know, okay.
in a wetland stand.
Yep.
or something. Sorry, yeah, can you repeat that date?
September 27th. So for the agenda, I guess we can leave it on the agenda unless we hear it from you, otherwise to push it out further.
Yeah, that would work. We'll let you, yeah, if we're not there 3 days before, then we'll try to send you an email, let you know that we're working on it.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to continue the hearing to October 1st.
One second.
Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Good.
thank you.
See you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Thank you, Chuck. Oh, obviously don't worry about that because.
Nope. That'll be
Mhm.
in the future.
All right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
thanks so much.
Do we want to,
Just go to the next thing
go to
and
the next thing? Yep, okay.
see where we go.
Okay, the land use manuals are now for 2025, or it's time to order them. I know we've been getting a electronic copy, and we've been getting at least one book for the table for us
I think
during meetings for the chair.
We've got two.
Did we get two?
For whoever the new members are, or whoever, if they get reelected, just,
Yeah, I think I got one that's,
yeah,
New
right,
member.
but you got elected and you got,
yeah.
Yeah, so how many should we need to let,
Anyway,
I just have a question. Has anybody used the electronic version, or should we not bother with that one?
I found it hard to use.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So I think just the books, but I didn't know if anybody
Wanna-
found it convenient to get the electronic
we
version.
go back to doing it the way we used to, just order 7 books?
Do we need 7 books?
Well, each person would have one if they wanted to take it home, and I suppose,
Yeah, I mean, we have old versions.
yeah.
But yeah, if you want to do 7.
That's what we always used to do before the electronic ability. was there.
Whatever everybody wants to do. Okay,
Yeah, 7, so it'd be just 7 of us, right?
Yep.
Well, what we did in the past, when I've been on the planning board for years and years. But when I was off the planning board for a year or two. Ed Petro was on the planning board and he gave me his
Mhm.
planning board book. So.
Yeah.
I used his, but.
Yeah.
I haven't handed mine down
Mhm.
for 16 minutes.
So who do we? have to
So we
get a
have
hold of-
7 and we have an alternate right now, so that would be 8.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's right. Okay. So we need to contact the Southwest.
Carol in the
Yeah.
office.
Oh, just Carol.
She orders them for the whole town.
Oh, okay.
So we just let her know how many we want and then
Okay.
it'll come out of our budget.
Do you want me to do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
She's away right now, but,
Right, yep, okay, so order 8,
and then I'll just put it in the budget. Which I,
call Carol,
How about-
order
my list for next meeting.
8, and no electronic.
If we're not using it, I
Yeah.
think it was $10, but I don't know that
It's just
anybody's
really
used
hard to
it.
use. And it had its own little software thing and just.
Yeah,
it
and
was
if one
kind of a-
person can access it, it's,
Okay, yeah, we'll go back to the old school way of doing it, that's fine.
Still cold stores, you're on the other board. I'm getting electronic version.
oh,
Okay.
so do you, well, we'll see what happens with the next
So-
election.
So honestly, what happened, so, they gave the option out, electronic book or both.
Yeah,
I actually wanted both. But I didn't want to be that guy. So I
Okay.
said, "I'll just get the electronic version." So,
All right, old business application update on the Quinn,
Plans are recorded.
oh,
Everything's
awesome.
all squared away. I forgot the receipt. I'll give that to Carol, the booking page, but.
Right.
Christine, the 2024 zoning ordinance
They are
update?
live on the town website, so they're up there.
Yeah, thank you.
That can come off the agenda.
That can come off the agenda, Kathy. All right, Russ, the GIS mapping conversion, anything new on that?
We talked, I spoke last time about, I was wondering how easy it would be to mess with the AutoCAD files.
Mhm.
It's real easy. My tax map number 3, I did today in about an hour. And it's really just move over and rotate a bit. It's
Hmm.
just, it's in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And then there's some places where obviously, like West Road, for some reason had a goop. And it's like, no, it's, you can see on the aerial, I'm just overlaying it on the aerial with latitude, longitude, and the road was straight. I'm like, okay, so somebody just,
Sneezed or something.
Yeah. I think it wouldn't be that hard to just do the whole thing. And then give that to CAI and say, look, here's a map that we feel, it's not a boundary survey, but
Mhm.
it is more representative of what's there.
And then what would they do with it?
Then they assign all the GIS stuff to it. They
Okay.
take like the avatar cards and whatever else, and they take those little polygons of boundary parcels and they put attributes in them. So when you click on it, something comes up like deeds or whatever.
So we're still saying we'd use their software.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm doing would just be nothing more than drawing a picture. Then they take that, a picture with the correct latitude and longitudes. So that it pop, you can, and then import FEMA stuff, soils mapping, NWI wetlands mapping, all that stuff all lands in the correct spot on the tax map. So it's more useful.
Mhm.
Russ,
Um,
how big of an area did you do? You just did your, like, are you looking at like a tax map page or?
Yeah, a whole tax
Oh.
map page.
Oh, a whole page, and
Yeah.
that only took you, and
An hour, maybe 2
I
hours.
mean, that's
It's because it's already
Yeah.
drawn, it's already an
Right.
AutoCAD drawing.
just
You're moving it a
it.
little bit. And what I did the whole town. Picked up the whole town and moved it, and I held the intersection by Ben's. Because you can see that really good in the aerials and
Mhm.
everything. And then I rotated it down to my house because I knew the road was there and all the other stuff. It's
Hmm.
like, okay, we're, now instead of being 100 feet off, a few feet here and there. It's a lot better.
Yeah,
So
because they were talking about redrawing like the whole town, and that was the expensive.
Yeah,
So
then-
if
They were
this
gonna
would like
survey,
reduce
right.
that, it would just be the.
I mean, I'd be happy to let
Yes.
them do it, but say, look, we already played with it and we know that.
Yeah,
It
right.
doesn't take $60,000.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, so maybe the next step is to have a conversation with them to get a new quote.
Yeah,
So do we want to,
well, I was gonna ask them about, okay, so last time we talked, you said this. Give them a little more information, like it's not that hard to change this. Can you give us a new quote for the soup to nuts thing? And then what if we gave you an AutoCAD file that was correctly positioned? And already had polygons on it, so you just have to make GIS out of it. How much would that be? So. Let's see what they said.
so you're gonna get a hold of CIA, is it CIA?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a hold of them?
CAI.
CAI?
Different organization.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you I'm getting a hold of it.
Too many acronyms.
Well, I went to the SWRPC meeting last week and I did pose the question, how are other towns paying for it? But most of the people that were there were all new
Yeah.
to their planning board and they had no idea. So I did not get an answer.
I don't seem like anybody can give you an answer to
Yeah.
that. Or nobody wants to.
Okay, driveway regs, Murray's not here, so I guess.
I did get an email response at our last meeting. We asked, I suggested we talk to Office of Planning and Development to see how other towns were handling that new RSA. And I talked to Noah Hodgetts via email. He basically agreed with our attorney and just said, just do what we talked about, which is just saying if it's over 150 feet, it has to be at least 12 feet wide, which is what the RSA says. So that's what he recommended. So I think, it's been a while since we've all looked at the driveway regs, so we were going to do a work session on that. We should do that at a future meeting and schedule it, so we all have time to refresh. And make sure
Yeah.
Murray's here.
And make sure, yeah, that's a key. Well, so we're not ready to commit to having Kathy put that as a work session item for the next meeting yet until we email
Murray,
Murray or, get a hold of him and find out if that is even doable. Okay.
yeah,
So possibly, Kathy, we might be moving driveway regulations to a work session for the next meeting. Okay, and so moving right into work session. Did everybody get a chance to look at review the draft grant application? Christine did a wonderful job on that. I guess she had a little help from Todd.
at SWRPC.
Horner, yeah,
Todd Horner, yeah.
Southwest, but I took the time to read it today, and it's well done. Thank you.
I did hear back from Sarah Reitzman at,
Good night, Chuck.
she's on the committee. I had reached out to Tiffany at Plan New Hampshire, who's also on the committee that makes the decisions on the grants, and Tiffany didn't have time to look at it. They had a conference today, but Sarah did. And she had some concerns that there wasn't enough focus on housing. There was a lot on natural resources. And my response was, well, for us, they go together. So I don't know if we need to stress that. I need to stress that more in the application, but yeah, and I don't know. I haven't heard back from Jeff Littleton about the solar suggestion. What he was referring to, because he's also just back from vacation, so he said he would get back to me. He did respond and just said he hadn't had time to look at it yet. So it's possible that comes off. I just don't know what he was referring to. So.
I just wanted to make note that I don't feel that the multifamily conversions should be included in this. It wasn't something that was decided by the entire board to pursue. I understand that you're saying potentially consider it, but it's within the scope of this work.
Mhm.
And I think we can either continue the conversation that we had last time or remove it.
How does everybody else feel about the multifamily conversions? The discussion.
I feel strongly about keeping it.
Mhm.
There's no guarantee that, once we look at what is recommended, that we decide to present it to voters, but I do think it's worth exploring further. It was highly ranked from the community when we did the steering committee did their public engagement, so for me, it's worth pursuing.
I think we should look at it more. Like I said last time, I'm not necessarily in favor of like new apartment buildings and that type of housing. But I feel like if you had a house and you wanted to divide it up into 3 apartments, that would just, I think, benefit everybody. And just make more places for smaller family units or couples or single person to live where there isn't any place now. And my bias might be that I'm suffering from a bunch of kids that need places to live and cannot find any. And so it's like, if there's just some apartments in town, because nobody wants to move to Milford or Nashua or Keene where there's apartments, but it's far away from everything.
Right.
How many times is this being brought up with the ZBA as a special exception? In like the past, has anybody looked at those numbers?
I mean, with the old brick school is 3 unit, and that went through the ZBA. I think there's plenty of them in town, there's handfuls of them in town that were just done.
Yeah.
I guess illegally.
Sure.
But ones that actually went to the ZBA, that's a good question. That's the only one that I know of in the last 20 years.
Mhm.
You think of any, George?
What's that?
Multifamily,
Conversions.
conversions in town that were done legally through the ZBA?
Not sure.
Yeah, I know. I think it's very, very few. Carter.
Apartment building,
Yeah,
separate from the house, but that was probably before the planning board,
yeah,
yeah.
pre-existing.
Another thing that I think if you regulated it or just allowed it, but with conditions like the septic system and stuff, you're protecting the health and safety of the community more, because right now, as we know of a couple legal ones and lots of illegal ones, which didn't fix their well or get a better septic system or anything. They just plow ahead until something fails. And then you're polluting groundwater, you're doing whatever, because the septic system isn't adequate.
Yeah, the
Whereas it-
septic is the big one, right, Russ?
Yeah.
When you have a 3-bedroom system or a 4-bedroom system, but most houses are 3-bedroom systems and then you add another whole, 2 more bedrooms.
Yeah, and it's not just 2 bedrooms,
who's-
it's an entire unit, because
Yeah.
there's a
Kitchen.
kitchen, there's all that. And so it's not just 150 gallons for another bedroom. It's a whole other unit, and those existing septic systems aren't built for that capacity, so they all fail or leak. And I think it's better just to say, okay, you can do it, but you gotta follow the rules, and not every lot, even if you've got a big house, is gonna be able to fit a septic system. And if somehow you had a big enough system, you'd have to also have a community water source. And I don't know, that would be a pretty big apartment building, but.
Well, I mean, the selectmen, we have a building permit process, so when for a substantial remodel like a a large home conversion into a multifamily, they should be coming for a building permit.
Right.
And certainly new construction, they're gonna be coming for building permit.
Right.
So we have a way to monitor, to make sure that the septic system
Well, should be.
who's, right.
Kind of my understanding that it's the way the rules are, you can do what you want, but it's on you of the septic heads. I don't think
Mhm.
there's anything requiring an improved septic. Is what I don't know if I got that from this board or from the ZBA or just from talking to Ken.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
I mean, I
think,
think you
I think
need,
that
you
is the
need an
case.
appropriately sized septic for your property. I
Yeah.
mean,
The initial permit requires that, the modification after the fact, I think it's in there that if you expand. It's on you.
you're on your own.
Septic heads.
Yeah. Yeah. We could ask Pete Caswell, he'd know the answer to that question. I'm sure
It might have been Pete.
that you talked to him.
And it wasn't me asking the question specifically.
Yeah,
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
Well-
actually surprised me.
Well, I guess going back full circle to the question that Carter, had voiced her opinion on the multifamily. That she didn't. I mean, can you elaborate on that? I mean, it seems like the rest of the board wants to maybe leave it in there and,
That's fine. I'd
And-
like to vote on it. I do not want it in there. I don't feel that based on our last discussion that this application represented what we talked about. And so I'm disappointed because I wouldn't necessarily have voted in the way that I did.
Is this just because of the multifamily, or is there something
I
else in the
think that that
application?
was put in there without having agreement from the board to do that. Yeah.
So it's not the whole application, it's just that one issue that you're,
Yes.
well, shall we vote on it?
yeah, I guess so. So Carter,
No.
George,
Well, do you want a motion?
oh, yes, yes. So Carter, you're gonna make a motion to,
I can make a motion to include multifamily, or do you want to do it the other way?
Either, it doesn't matter. to
I'll
me,
make a
as long
motion
as we-
to include, to submit the application as written. That'll be my motion.
Okay. So do you have a second?
Second,
Carter, do you vote?
No,
George?
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes.
Yes.
yes,
And so, Carter, when we submit the application, there will be in the minutes your objection to the multifamily, so the committee will be aware of it.
great.
So Bruce, this is the draft, so I'll need to get with you to sign this, and I will draft a cover letter as well. And Kathy, I'll just need the minutes from the meeting, once they're drafted.
Yeah, you want them back for the day,
Usually by Monday. Can you do it by Monday? That's your usual time frame, right?
Okay, master plan, chapter updates on population and housing.
So we didn't have much time to get through it at the last meeting, but I did submit, a bunch of the typos and things. There was some formatting issues with the last version to Carol, and she sent me an updated version, which, was sent out with the agenda. So I think it says as of September 2024 on the front.
Yep.
So I don't know if we've looked at it at least twice, perhaps. So I don't know if there were any other revisions that we needed to submit, or do we?
I didn't realize there was an updated version, so I didn't review it.
Oh, okay.
I read the old one in 2018.
Oh,
Yep, so you did email, I
it
just
was
didn't
with
print
the
it out.
agenda.
Yeah, so we do, everybody has it, so I guess, do we want to? In fairness
Sure.
to, Murray's not here, Carter didn't get a chance to read it. Kick the can for another meeting on that.
Sure.
I mean, it's not gonna hurt anything, right? It'd
No, it just, I mean,
be nice to get it done.
we're gonna end up bottlenecked at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Is the issue, so.
Well, it should be, if everybody takes the time to review it one final time, it should be a quick work session.
Yeah, well, we have 3 other chapters. to-
Oh, that's right.
or 4
That's
other
right.
chapters to review. That's more.
Wait a
the
minute,
issue.
okay, you're right. Now let me go back to that. So
My
we,
comments were all typos and stuff, so I'll just double check it against what I had.
Okay,
all right.
Wasn't content focused.
yeah, mine,
Yeah, so we still have land use and economic environment
Right.
and implementation.
right,
Um,
right. So I mean, I think
well-
the next easiest would be the economic environment, because again, it's just data. There's not any recommendations for movement, so I don't know if people feel like they can do 2 chapters between now and the next meeting, or if we want to wait.
Well,
Motion.
I don't, right at the moment, we don't have a really heavy agenda for the next meeting. Well, we have the possible continuation of the hearing,
Right,
but that really shouldn't take that much time.
seems like he's, yeah,
So, and well, we do have, if we possibly could have driveways. As a work possible thing, so I think we could squeeze it in.
so we'll do economic environment as well as population.
Is everybody okay with that?
yeah.
And, will you send those out? The-
Yeah, so it's all in the Dropbox, and I did
Okay.
confirm with Carol that what's there now is the most recent version, so. Maybe Kathy can just send another link to it. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, subdivision regulations review, Russ, you had,
Yeah, I
think
sent
so.
around today, from last time when we talked about the road specs and all that, maybe shouldn't be in there.
Hey, I found something today.
Did you find them?
I looked, I think I have it. Hold on. This is from 1989 road specification.
Where are they?
And I mean, look at this. This is crazy. And then
Wow.
there's this,
Like
Like
got
it's
everything.
typed.
and
Wow.
then there's this for the cul-de-sac.
Wow.
I think this might be, that we should have this at the office. But,
So in the subdivision, I said, Steve.
my only
was
copy.
letting them-
Okay, well, I was gonna, do you have a
Say that, I'm sorry.
In the editing meeting, they just chopped on all our stuff. I pasted it somewhere else to save it. And I just said, see the selectmen first. Road design specifications. So if we already have a set,
Well, it's from 1989. We should probably
Well,
compare it
yeah,
to
yeah.
what we have now and,
but that looks like it's got some extra good stuff. in there, like
Yeah.
cross-sections and-
do you want to scan it or do you have a scanner?
I can, I have the ability to do that, so we can all get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Yep, I can do that.
And then,
I told you, I knew I had it. I
yeah,
knew,
yeah.
I knew we had road specs. See, Carter?
Yeah, so
Right.
section 6, I could,
I knew we had them though.
And then the other question I think we had was on the penalties, the attorney, that is on page 11, section 7.5.
Mhm.
He had a question about a dollar amount. I think that was in there.
I
And-
chopped the dollar amount out.
And the dollar amount was in the RSA.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so we can either just simplify that or just quote, per RSA as amended, like we did in some other places, but,
Okay,
or I don't know, I'm
that's
just,
right, you were gonna,
just saying, I just confirmed that the language we had was exactly how it's written in the RSA.
okay.
I think he wasn't questioning the method of,
He said that there
Payment.
was other methods that could
Yeah.
be applied instead of a fine. So if you put the fine in there, then that's what you're gonna do, but.
Yep.
And I don't know what the other methods would be. Chickens.
yeah, maybe back in the day, but I don't know about now. But we can, I'm open to whatever you all want to do, but, just reference the RSA or leave it as written. Or, with the dollar amount. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I could go either way, does it? My gut would be leave it, just leave it alone, leave it the way it is.
Put the $1,000 back.
Yeah,
Okay.
You with us on that one, Carter? Are you okay with that?
Which page is that on? Sorry.
it's on my
Section-
page 11, it's section 7, administration and enforcement, and it's 7.5 penalties. And the dollar amount's not in there now because you took it out.
Right.
I mean, I would leave it up, but.
That was the only other outstanding issue, right?
Yeah, there was reserve strips, the definition of reserve strips.
Which I think I
You
gave.
sent me
you.
one.
Yep.
Do we want to just put that in there, that's what you gave me and call it a day?
Do you have it with you or I don't think Bruce has seen it.
You emailed.
Did I email it?
Yeah, you know, but
Oh, yeah, you probably were on the email.
Yeah, thought I read. Let's see what the reserve strip.
Do you want me to read it?
do you have it up?
Yeah, if you have
Yeah.
it, sure.
It's reserved strips of land which, in the opinion of the planning board, show an intent on the part of the subdivider to control access to land dedicated or to be dedicated to public use shall not be permitted. I think it's fine to it's good to have a definition in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would include it.
I agree.
Okay.
The only other this is not a change, but just, in looking at the site plan regulations for the all-purpose, I noticed that the subdivision regulations are referenced specifically in like a specific section. So before we make any change here, we should make sure that we update
Site plan.
at least that part, like before I mean, it took us months to update this, but we should just make sure we
Okay.
update the site plan, at least where it refers to the appropriate section.
It's a C sections 4.3.
It says see section 3, which I think is the application procedure, which here is
Isn't-
section 2.
Okay,
So it's just something we need to, like, if we were gonna have a hearing on this, we should also update the site plan, that sentence.
Okay.
Or any other references. Just to avoid confusion. Do you want to? Did you have?
This is the the most recent.
Yeah, I think I have 2 of those.
so we're for cross-referencing.
Yep. It's, I don't remember. I have it though. What's the hearing? Here's where it refers to. That's the one I noted, Yeah.
Okay.
and it may be in other places. That's
Yeah.
just the one that jumped out at me. You can take that if you want.
Okay. No, it's only 8
So-
pages.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else on the subdivision regulations?
Can I,
We're pushing.
I know, can I propose that we do the hearing in a month for the subdivision?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can have this done. Okay.
Yeah, that means
Worst
that way
case-
that gives us a buffer.
worst case would be doing the continuation on the 17th of October for the storage units,
Mhm.
but that should be quick, so we can do. We can do it. Everybody agree? 17th. Hearing, so you,
Of October, so I'll make that motion
yep,
to schedule a hearing for the revisions to the subdivision regulations and a minor revision to the site plan regulations, review regulations on October 17th.
I'll second that. Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Yay, oh, yes?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, okay. Regional impact, the New Ipswich subdivision, where do we stand with that, Christine?
no update. It's their meeting, the first Wednesday in October. It was pushed out another month.
And you had sent some interesting legislative stuff over email. I read one of them, and then the Antrim, town of Antrim was interesting for the housing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do we have? Is there any new?
So,
things?
well, there's next Thursday is the changes to planning and zoning laws webinar at noon. And as I said, they're always recorded. So if you can't watch it live, I think you can watch the recorded version on YouTube. New Hampshire Housing has their annual event coming up October 23rd. And then the NHMA conference, which in the past I've gone to, and it was really interesting and really good to connect with other planning board members from other towns in the state. Last year I only went one day. They had all the planning and zoning on one day. This year it's over the 2 days, so it's kind of a bummer, but if anybody's interested in going, I highly recommend it. If not, I would like to go. But I'm happy to give up my spot if somebody else is interested.
I am interested on going the one day. I can only go the 30th, but
Okay.
I would like to go if
Awesome.
we can approve that.
I'll make the motion for Carter to attend on October 30th. There's fees involved, that's why.
I second that. Carter, how do you vote?
Yes,
George?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
there you go.
thank you.
Okay,
Shall I go on the 31st?
okay.
Go for it.
That way we're covered.
Yep, so we need a motion for that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to make the motion.
Yeah,
A motion, Christine goes on to first.
Second,
Carter, how do you vote?
yes,
George?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
okay.
I just have one other ask for a future agenda, probably the next meeting, and that is the budget. We're going to need to present our budget to the Budget Advisory Committee. I think it's November. You probably know the date.
I have it
So I
somewhere.
think it's
What's it?
not the first week, maybe the second.
11?
That seems,
That seems to be the number that's
Right.
kicking in my head.
so we'll have to, review it. So yeah, we can maybe ask Kara, the bookkeeper, for some detail and then meet again to look at the budget. So just on the future agenda.
So you want me to get a hold of Karen and ask her what?
For the detail on some of the, like, we don't need it for Kathy's hours, but
Yeah.
anything else that has an expense.
Yeah.
I usually ask for the detail just to
Okay.
see what it was spent on.
Okay.
I feel like some of the numbers may be incorrect.
Okay, good. 12 minutes to 9,
Motion to adjourn.
second. Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
meeting adjourned.
no.
Thank you.
Give it back to Bruce.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure you do. I know you do. Sean, we must be that much fun. You stuck it out to hang out with us?
Go down to the town office anytime. I don't, but I'm around. Okay, thank you. I think I have some old stuff, application. And but this needs to be filed. Okay. And I don't want to have it at my house. So let me figure out